The fifth person connected to the murder of Jacksonville rapper Charles Jones, known as Julio Foolio, is in custody. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says it found 27-year-old Davian Murphy at an apartment complex on LaBelle Street last night. Police had been looking for him for over 6 months. News 4 Jax reporter Lisa Hatcher was there for his first appearance in court.
New details revealed today in a pretrial hearing for the case the state of Florida is building against the people accused of murdering Jacksonville rapper Foolio.
The state will not seek gang enhancements for one of the 5 defendants in the case.
All right, y'all, buckle up because this story is wild. Footage of Foolio's alleged new killer is making rounds on social media, and people are losing their minds. I mean, the streets are talking, the blogs are buzzing, and everyone's asking the same question: what really happened? And just when we thought this case couldn't get any crazier, Foolio's mom comes forward and drops some straight-up confirmation that has everyone shook. This is one of those stories you won't believe until you hear all the details. So let's get into it. Setting the stage. So if you're not familiar with Julio Foolio, let me give you a quick rundown. Foolio was one of the biggest names in Jacksonville's drill scene. He was known for his hardcore tracks, savage disses, and a rivalry with none other than Youngeen Ace. When we say these two had beef, we're talking legendary levels. Think Tupac and Biggie, but make it Florida. Their diss tracks, brutal. Their crews, ruthless. And the streets, they ate it up. But with that kind of energy, things tend to spill off the mic and into real life. And for Foolio, it ended in tragedy. So, here's what went down.
Pool party started at 5, 6 o'clock. DM me for the address of DM Foolio booking ESPN. I'm gonna put it right here. Appreciate everybody popping out for my birthday, you know what I'm saying?
Happy birthday!
Everybody got their shot, put their shot in the air, man. Okay, David. Everybody take their shit on.
It was June 2024, right after Foolio celebrated his birthday. He was outside a hotel in Tampa when he was gunned down in a cold, calculated attack. And when we say calculated, we mean these folks were on some tactical team-level planning. Foolio had been living it up, sharing all the birthday vibes on Instagram and letting the world know how lit the celebrations were. But things took a turn when he and his crew had to leave their Airbnb. Apparently, the spot was overcrowded and the police weren't having it. Foolio kept the party rolling though, posting that it was lit everywhere we go as they moved to a new location. Fast forward to the early hours of June 23rd. Foolio and his crew ended up at the Home 2 Suites near USF. Around 4:38 a.m., things got deadly. 3 masked shooters pulled up, hopped out of a car, and walked straight toward the hotel. In the parking lot, they opened fire, using a handgun with a high-capacity magazine and 2 rifles equipped with brass catchers. Yeah, they came ready for war. Over 30 shots were fired, and Foolio was hit multiple times in the chest and head. Tragically, he didn't make it. 3 other people were injured but survived the attack. The police responded quickly after a 911 call, but it was already too late for Foolio. The word on the street is, this was a retaliation hit tied to gang conflicts. Foolio's life, full of controversy and talent, was cut short at just 26. This was a devastating loss for the hip-hop community and his fans. Reports later confirmed that the shooters drove over 3 hours from Jacksonville to Tampa just to get him. Not just that, but they also tracked his every move, followed him to the hotel, and when the moment was right, they made their move. Basically, Foolio didn't stand a chance. This was a planned hit. The arrests.
Keep walking. Keep walking. Now turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Is there anybody else inside?
Now, the cops didn't waste time. They started rounding people up real quick. Among those arrested were a young couple, both just 21 years old. And get this, the girl was pregnant. Yep, baby on the way and all. Imagine bringing life into the world while planning to take someone else's.
A little more than a month ago, a group of individuals with the goal of premeditated traveled from Jacksonville to Tampa to commit a heinous crime in our city. I said at that time that we would make arrests and get justice in this case for all the victims, including the mother of Charles Jones, who traveled from Jacksonville this morning to be present for this announcement. Today I stand before Tampa Police Major Pat Messmer, Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters, and Hillsborough State Attorney Susie Lopez to announce the arrest of 3 people in the Charles Jones, also known by his stage name of Julio Foolio. In addition, we have warrants and are actively searching for 2 other individuals in this case. Today's announcement would not be possible without the outstanding investigative work of our homicide detectives and with the assistance of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the ATF. These individuals took extreme measures to try to cover their actions, but they were no match for our investigators. Isaiah Chance, Elisa Andrews, Sean Gaithright, Davion Murphy, and Rashard Murphy are all accused of playing a role in Jones's death and are all charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree, premeditated with the discharge of a firearm, and 1 count of conspiracy of murder in the first degree, premeditated with the discharge of a firearm. Chance, Andrews, and Gaithright were arrested over the weekend in Jacksonville. Davion Murphy and Rashard Murphy are still fugitives of justice, and we are working closely with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the U.S. Marshals to apprehend them.
He's compliant. Crawl towards me. Bro, come on. Keep crawling. Keep crawling. Crawl towards me. Drop that book now. Drop the book. Hold the bro. Hold the bro. Hold the bro.
Rashard Murphy, one of the shooters, was found not long after the first 3 suspects were arrested. He was in an apartment in Jacksonville, suicidal, clutching a Bible. He knew it was game over. But the wildest part of this story, one of the suspects, Davion Murphy, tried ducking the cops for a while. He was on the run. In the end, it turns out Davion never even left Jacksonville, ducking the cops. Okay, so here's the deal. It's not all that surprising that he managed to stay under the radar for so long, especially since he was found in his own hometown. People might assume that when someone goes on the run, they're hopping on a plane and disappearing to some far-off country. But that's not always the case, especially if you're not very rich. The average person who's running from the law probably doesn't have the money or resources to jet off to another country. Instead, they might just head to a different city to lay low, maybe even visit some relatives for a while. Here's the thing though. When you're trying to dodge the cops, sometimes it's about staying close, like to a neighboring state. Plus, a lot of these folks are really good at staying under the radar. They might be constantly on the move, never sticking around in one place for too long. They usually use burner phones, which are cheap, untraceable, and not in any way linked to your name. You buy one at a corner store, load it up with pay-as-you-go minutes, and boom, the cops can't track you through your regular phone. So yeah, while it might seem surprising that he was found in his hometown, it actually makes sense. It's a place he's familiar with, a place where he knows all the hiding spots. Honestly, when you look at these kinds of situations, it's pretty typical for someone to end up right where they're most comfortable. The capture. Fast forward to January 6th, 2025. The police finally caught up with Davion. A SWAT team rolled up and nabbed him, and this man had the nerve to be smiling as they walked him to the truck.
We're just leaving Murphy's first court appearance where the judge says he's charged with a first-degree murder, 4 first-degree murder attempts, among other charges, and was denied bond. This is just the start to a lengthy process. All smiles was Davion Murphy after being caught by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for the murder of Julio Foolio.
Mr. Murphy, if you could come to the front of the courtroom, sir, where the microphone is.
For more than 6 months, multiple law enforcement agencies searched for Murphy, only to find him in Jacksonville Monday night.
The evidence. Here's where it gets even crazier. The amount of evidence they have on these suspects is overwhelming. Text messages came out where Davion was literally celebrating Foolio's death, talking about popping bottles of Don Julio. And then there's Alicia, the pregnant girl. Word is, she's trying to cut a plea deal to save herself and her baby, but that means snitching on her boyfriend and everyone else involved.
The defendant, along with all her co-defendants, were tracking our victim all through the night.
During the final pretrial hearing before the trial of Alicia Andrews in the murder of Jacksonville rapper Foolio, whose given name is Charles Jones, the state said all of the defendants plotted the murder long before they arrived in Tampa the weekend Foolio was murdered.
We have evidence of the defendants' co-defendants very clearly meeting at Sean Gathwright's house on his video camera where they are loading up big bags that are definitely big enough to hold these assault rifles that were used in this case.
The state said the motive of the defendants was retribution from music videos posted on social media as part of an escalating gang war in Jacksonville.
This is something in Jacksonville that is very well known. These videos, both by our victim as well as by the rival gangs, are posted immediately. It's in the public domain, and it details this long-standing feud.
The judge also said that evidence from a previous attempt on Jones's life in 2023 can be used in the trial against Andrews, even though she is not considered to be involved in that shooting.
I do find, generally speaking, that this is evidence that does help create motive and intent and explain the crimes charged.
But she probably isn't the only one thinking of such a thing. When you've got multiple people involved, it's kind of a race to see who snitches first. Whoever decides to turn on the others, or in legal terms, testify against them, is likely going to get the better deal. And that's because everyone wants to secure a better outcome for themselves. In Florida, first-degree murder is a death penalty offense. The prosecutor in Jacksonville might be considering that, but even if they don't go for the death penalty, the other option is life in prison. So, if you're facing that kind of time, you might be thinking about cutting a deal. If you flip and testify against your co-defendants, you could get a way lighter sentence, like 20 or 25 years instead of life. At least that way, there's a chance for a life after prison, instead of being stuck there forever or facing the death penalty. Chances of at least one of them spilling the beans on the rest of the group is extremely high. It's all about that self-preservation, especially when the stakes are so high. And remember, there's no code between criminals. It's every man for themselves. The bigger picture. Now let's take a step back. Foolio wasn't just a rapper, he was a symbol of the Jacksonville drill scene. Love him or hate him, his music made waves. But his death? It's a harsh reminder of how real this street beef gets. This is more than just music. And here's the thing, while Foolio's family, friends, and fans are mourning, the streets are talking. Some are saying Foolio had it coming because of how disrespectful he was in his songs. Others argue that no one deserves to go out like that, no matter what they said in a track. It's a complicated legacy, for sure.
I reached out to Foolio's attorney for comment, and they sent back in part. While this development brings us closer to accountability, it does not ease the heartbreak felt by his family and friends. Foolio was a talented artist whose life was taken far too soon. We will continue to support his family through this difficult journey and remain committed to ensuring that those responsible are held fully accountable.
As of now, all the suspects are in custody, and the case is moving to trial. The prosecutors are reportedly considering the death penalty for some of them. But here's the kicker. Executions in Florida take years to happen. So even if they get sentenced to death, we're talking 20 years minimum before anything goes down. Most likely, these suspects are looking at life behind bars. And for Alicia, she might get a lighter sentence if she cooperates. But don't get it twisted. She's still facing serious time. Her baby could literally be born while she's in prison. So, what's the takeaway here? First off, rest Rest in peace to Julio Foolio. No matter how you felt about his music or his actions, his death is a tragedy. It's another example of how this street beef needs to stop. Second, to everyone out there trying to live that real street life and make drill music your reality, look at this case. Foolio is gone, his killers are locked up, and families on both sides are destroyed. Ain't no bars, money, or clout worth all this. But hey, what do y'all think? Was Foolio's legacy worth the cost? Are the suspects getting what they deserve, or is there more to this story? Let us know in the comments because we know y'all got opinions.